Armed Forces presides over the ceremonies for the end of the technical training. The number of cases exceeds 1.2 million, resulting in 29,861 deaths in India. Hello, welcome to our newsroom for having the news in details. The President of the Republic inquired about the state of health of the guardian of the two holy places during a telephone interview last night. The total number of cases of COVID-19 in India has exceeded 1.2 million. The President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Margeli, in a telephone interview last night inquired about the health state of the King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and custodian of the two holy places, His Majesty Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, who is receiving treatment in his country where he has been hospitalized for the past few days. During this telephone exchange, President Gele wished the custodian of two holy places a speedy recovery and reiterated to the Saudi sovereign to the compassion and solidarity of the Egyptian nation with its Saudi sister nation in this ordeal. For his part, King Salman, who thanked the President of the Republic for his friendly and sympathetic gesture, did not fail to salute the high degree of fraternity between the two brotherly peoples. Now, within the framework of the popularization of government action and good governance, the Ministry of Labor, Mr. Ismail Ibrahim Roble, participated in the first edition of the broadcast in Somali entitled Hil Iyo Gudesho, or Balance Sheet, hosted by our great journalist Mohammed Tahir and the journalist Khadar Abdullahi, recorded yesterday, Wednesday, at the studio of the RTD. The content of the program is about the assessment of the Ministry of Labor and the prospects for the future of this department in charge of employment issues, the reform of the administration and health care of public and private workers, as well as social dialogue. The Ministry of Labor responded to all the questions asked by the journalist hosts this evening. You are going to follow an extract from the Hil Iyo Gude show, which means responsibility and fulfillment, with the Ministry of Labor as his guest. The entire program will be broadcast tomorrow evening on our airwaves after the Somali news. Now, the artillery regiment hosted the graduation ceremony this morning for the 8 trainees who had undergone specific artillery training. It is a first-degree technical certificate in artillery, heavy armaments with a barrel greater than 105 mm, and a basic ground-to-air technical certificate specific to air defense. This colorful ceremony was presided over by the Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. Also participating in this graduation ceremony were senior ADF officials, first and foremost Brigadier General Tahir Ali Mohammed, Chief of Defense Staff. Merde. The Colonel Mohammed Moomin, Deputy Director of the Joint Military Academy of Arta and Chairman of the Examination Commission of the course Technical Certificate 1 Artillery, first proclaimed the results. Let us listen now to his intervention. Then it is the turn of Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed Abtidon, Chairman of the Examination Board of the Ground to Air ETC course, to proclaim the results and the order of merits for the award. here in his speech. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim addressed the young trainees and informed them about the history of the artillery regiment. In the past, when the ADF was created in 1977, the regiment was composed of barely 20 people. To date, it counts more than 400 and provides for its firepower mission. This regiment, with its large caliber means, continues its transformation and modernization for the creation of a new ground-to-air unit which will intervene in the defense of our airspace against any foreign intrusion. This transformation is part of the process of modernizing and strengthening the operational capability of the Djiboutian Armed Forces undertaken since 2016 by General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, General of Staff of the Armed Forces. It is up to you to be part of this evolution and to continue to maintain the sense of pride, patriotism, and defense of the integrity of our country. Now, as part of the Clean City operation, the Djibouti Town Hall, in collaboration with the OVD, ADR, Sanitation, and the National Police, today launched in the Ras Dika commune to remove and evacuate the wrecks of abandoned vehicles. This operation also consists of cleaning up domestic waste, animal corpses, and rubbish that threaten the purification of traffic arteries and the urban facades of the capital. The Mayor of Djibouti, Mrs. Farima Awali Osman, and the Prefect of the City of Djibouti, Mr. Osman Bile, supervise the work. This, starting the commune of Ras Dika, will continue in all other communes of the capital, namely Bulaus and Balbala. The Mayor of Djibouti, Mrs. Farima Awali Osman, invited all the inhabitants of the city to participate actively in facilitating the task to the agents who are in charge of the embellishment. She made a solemn appeal to the owners of the vehicles that anarchically occupy the pavement, who are asked to remove them. The owners of the goods are also asked to put them in a well-protected enclosure. And the dumping of waste water is strictly forbidden. Anyone contravening these rules will be fined and prosecuted, even in the event of a repeat offense. Now, the General Secretary of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mohammed Abdullah Mayoub, officially shared this morning the ceremony to launch the work of the medium-term action plan of the National Vocational Training Policy. This meeting of great importance will show the effective participation of various concerned ministerial departments, including the Secretaries General of the Ministries of Women and Family, Social Affairs and Solidarity, etc. Senior officials of technical education and vocational training also took part in this meeting, which was held at the headquarters of MENFOP. Now, the General Secretary of the Health Minister, Dr. Salah Bounet Turab, gave us the daily press briefing of this Thursday, July 23, 2020. The weekly data collected on the COVID-19 pandemic at the airport are as follows. 563 tests were performed and 53 cases were positive to COVID-19 pandemic. Passengers testing positive are currently being cared for, treated, and monitored by our medical teams at the Bufar hospitals. Stay alert, protect yourself, and protect the others. Another subject, a ceremony to hand over a batch of disinfection equipment from the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship was held yesterday. More details in this report.
LE, Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship, to the Djibouti International Airport. Indeed, due to the resumption of activities at the airport following the opening of borders, the CLE expressed its willingness to join the government's efforts to combat COVID-19. This willingness was materialized by the gracious handing over of a disinfection booth and an automatic hydroalcoholic gel.
An 100% online hackathon was launched on July 16th. Details in this video.
100% online hackathon was launched on July 16, 2020, with the aim of finding and polishing Djiboutian talent capable of proposing innovative solutions that can support the national response to the health and socio-economic challenges created by the pandemic. JibHack COVID-19 was organized by the Center for Technology and Innovation for Development in partnership with the World Health Organization, the Ministry of Social Affairs, and Djibouti Telecom. This hackathon is a flagship event that identified talents in data mapping and visualization, risk communication, awareness raising, and community engagement, who will be followed and supported throughout the finalization of their projects. During 4 days, more than 29 participants benefited from monitoring sessions provided by 89 mentors in different fields: health, education, logistics, social and solidarity economy, and different specialties: communications, data management, IT development, business coaching, and marketing, coming from different African backgrounds.
The distribution operations of the second cash transfer of the year 2020, coupled with medical services carried out by the region's mobile health team, have started in Tudub Alale sector in the Al Sabih region. In this presence of the presence of the prefect of the region of Al Sabih, Mr. Musa Adan Migane, and the director of social affairs, Mrs. Amina Adan Warsama, as well as the director general of the regional hospital of Al Sabih, Mr. Mohammed Sugay Ainan. Households living in the localities targeted by the National Family Solidarity Program were thus able to benefit from medical consultations, pregnancy monitoring, prenatal and postnatal visits, and child care. This shows the success of integration between the programs of different ministries at the level of the regions of the interiors. Now let's listen to the speech of the Director of the Social Affairs, Mrs. Amina Aden Warsame.
Aujourd'hui, on est à Doudoubalala dans le cadre du programme PNSF.
As you can see, it is an event that also brought together the Ministry of Health with a mobile team to treat the children of beneficiaries, but also to make medical visits here. The prefecture was with us, and on the basis of the list of our beneficiaries, we are preparing an agreement with the Ministry of the Interior to facilitate the obtaining of identity cards for our beneficiaries. They benefit from all the state services. It is a federative program, and we are expecting that the objectives from this program would be to be in each locality or in each sub-groups. These families can have a certain ease of access to all state services.
In the framework of the implementation of the 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage, a pilot inventorying workshop in the intangible cultural heritage of the Somali community was held on 19 July 2020 at the Al Sabih Regional Council, chaired by the Director of Culture, Mr. Ali Hassan Ahmed, and the meeting brought together around a round table more than 20 persons composed of traditional chiefs, young academics, women craftswomen, and poets, holders of traditional knowledge and representative of the civil society. Now, under the leadership of Deputy Director Kamildini of the OBOK, SEGS, OBOK staff and youth were mobilized to welcome the young people of OBOK and their elders. In the morning, the OBOK sub-director put all the preparation in motion, the continuation of the training for the second day. This morning, the agenda was full with the visits of many tourist sites, and thus the famous monument of the region of Obok, the lighthouse of Rasbir, Kotoria, who gave were the two best places to visit and cut off the tourism in the Obok region. The departure is launched At 7:30 a.m., first cab to Sublime Godoria. Once arrived at Godoria, the surprise was at its height for seeing and the paradisiacal place fascinated them. Without making them wait, the visit started with the mangrove of Godoria. On the way back, the two delegations made a stop at the Rasbir Lighthouse in Hugef before returning to Obor by road around noon. Moving on to international news now, the total number of cases of COVID-19 in India has exceeded 1.2 million. More details with Dina Musa.
The number of COVID-19 cases in India has surpassed the 1.2 million mark, reaching 1,238,635, while the number of deaths has reached 29,861, according to the latest data from the Indian Ministry of Health. Thursday, 23 July, the ministry said Thursday morning that 1,129 new deaths due to the COVID-19, in addition to the 45,720 recent positive cases, have been reported in the last 24 hours across the country, bringing the number of deaths to 29,861 and the total number of cases to 1,238,635. This is the largest increase in a single day in terms of the new COVID-19 cases and deaths in the country to date.
Now, in the United States of America, President Donald Trump yesterday announced an increase in the number of federal agents in Chicago. For more details, let's hear Dina Musa again.
As President Donald Trump announced Wednesday that he would increase the number of federal agents in Chicago after resurgence of violence in the nation's third largest city and despite opposition from the city's Democratic mayor. About 200 agents will be sent to Chicago, 30 to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and 200 are already in Kansas City, Missouri. He said, Barr said they will work hand in hand with police and should not be confused with federal agents involved in the riot response. The president on Monday threatened to send federal agents to New York and Chicago and other Democratic strongholds to protect federal buildings and restore order more generally. About 15 people were injured again Tuesday in a shootout at a funeral in Chicago, police said.
This is it for this edition of 9 p.m. Thank you for staying with us and have a wonderful evening.